guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm just going to be talking about how I got a training contract, but just giving some advice on what I think was the key, should we say, in me getting a training contract. A training contract is a 2-year period of qualification at work, where after those 2 years you become a lawyer, basically a qualified solicitor, and within those 2 years you work in a law firm most times. There's two types of training contract. There's one where you rotate 6 every month, so you are in different departments every 6 months, usually 4 seats. So the first seat could be family law, or second seat clinical negligence, or things like that. Or there's a type of training contract where you're basically in one department, and that's where you work for the rest of the 2 years. So my training contract, I've got I'm working in just one single department, which is where I started my current job, and I was lucky, or blessed should I say, to obtain a training contract after roughly a year of working there. So I'm currently a trainee solicitor in my own department. I may be rotating, maybe like just try like things for a week or so, but mostly I will be staying in this department. And to be honest, I don't mind that much because I've got my own cases, so I'm familiar with what I have to do, and I don't have to get to know new people every 6 months, which is what would happen if I did the six one. And also my training, my law firm offers this type of training contract. So how did I get a training contract? So I've been looking for this training contract for a while. Like everybody in my family knows, I was just training contract, because getting a training contract is so competitive. So I started applying for training contracts in my second year of uni, but I wasn't really sure how the application process was like. And I mean, I was filling applications, but I was doing it quite like chill and unbothered, obviously, because I had exams and assignments, etc. And I just didn't really know how to answer the questions. Like I remember one of the questions, which is so silly and so it's silly, but asked me, why do you think you're the perfect candidate for this role, or something like that. And I said one of my answers among that was because I'm a Libra, and Libras are reliable. So just to tell you how I don't want to say stupid, but quite silly my mentality was. So I wasn't feeling them really properly. And it's safe to say I didn't get any training contracts in my second year. Third year I was also applying for training contracts, and I was trying to go like for big firms like Clyde & Co was one of the ones I applied to, Adolfo Goddard, Irwin Mitchell, and they're so competitive because I think they get like maybe thousands of applications, and they only have like 20 seats, something like that, even less than that. But this one that I applied for one called BLM, which I think they've now incorporated with another law firm or something like that. But I did get past the first stage, but then there was a verbal reasoning test which I failed, because with training contract the applications are quite long. Sometimes you got verbal reasoning tests, then you got the first stage, which is going to a normal interview, second stage is maybe an assessment center with other people. It's just so long. So third year I didn't get any training contract. Then after uni, after I finished my law degree, I did the LPC. And let me just add something actually. Once I finished my law degree, I got this job with this law firm, which is a small law firm, I'll say, and it's very, very traditional. By traditional, I mean they still use papers as documents. It's very traditional. Like if you think about the word law firm, traditional, like the typical lawyers, like that's literally what that firm was like. But it did have smaller offices throughout the UK, I'll say, like maybe up to 4. But it's a very traditional law firm, and even where it was based, it was a traditional city, I'll say. So I got a role there, and the way I got it was quite funny, because I applied for a training contract during uni and I didn't get it. But then they called me back and it was like, we want to offer you a role. So I was like, what? Yes, they said we'll offer you a role, and then as litigation assistant, was it? And then after that, we'll get you into a training contract automatically after you finish your LPC. Well, obviously, doing my LPC, I couldn't work full time, so they did offer me to work twice a week. It was, but the way it happened then, it was like after a month roughly, and I wasn't doing much at all. Because, no offense, but my supervisor was just not giving me the work, and she was so busy. I think she had kids, so she would come in the office like so stressed. So I didn't really. I started not liking really that role anyway, and I was like, I remember one day I was going back from that work, and I was like, God, this is it. Because, like, I'm not sure, like, it feels weird. And it was so traditional. So traditional. Like, I don't want to say, but I feel like, it's not, I feel like I was literally the only person of color through offices. So, it was very traditional. So, and also the office was like very, like, it was like a house turned into office. I just didn't feel like I fit in there, so it was so weird for me to then do a training contract. But as it was, the day after I said that, I was told that maybe I should postpone this role for later on after I finish the LPC. And the reason for that was so silly is because they wanted to give me something related to unregistered land. And unregistered land is not a topic that we cover during the LPC, because there's not many unregistered land as of today. So I told them, I didn't do it on unregistered land, but it's because I didn't do it on the LPC, because the LPC, the unit was going to, doesn't even offer that. And they would say, oh yeah, maybe we should wait for you to finish the LPC and then you join us back in. But the way they did it was just like, I don't know, very annoying. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But in my head, they told me, when you finish the LPC, come back and we'll give you a place. But then and then I knew I wasn't really gonna come back, because just the way, like, you employed me, and I left. Actually, when they employed me, I left my job as an interpreter to join them, and it's like, okay, now you're just gonna tell me to leave, and what about my job that I left to come here? I left that job, and I was a bit sad, I must say, because it's like, oh, I had the training contract in my hands, like this thing that everyone wants us to competitor. I have it, and now I don't have it anymore, and I don't know when I'll get another opportunity again. But that's how that went. And then I found another job in a law firm as a paralegal in this law firm that's quite big, I would say. And I stayed there for 2 years. And I finished my IPC there, just kept working as a paralegal for 2 years. It was a clinical negligence department, which was alright. I kind of liked it, but also I didn't at the same time. And I felt like there, since it was a big firm, I was literally just a number. That's how I felt. And to be honest, I'm not the only one who felt like that. There were a lot of voices. And I remember when I joined that firm, there were many people leaving. I was like, why are you guys leaving? Like, it's so nice here. But then I found out it's because there was lack of progression. I stayed there for 2 years, and I applied for a training contract twice, and I didn't get it. And also, I must say, they offer training contracts externally and internally, but they only offer like 10 places, something like that, among internal candidates and external candidates. So people were leaving because, you work there for so long and you're not really considered, and they may get someone from outside who hasn't put any work in the company, and they give them a training contract, and so little spaces for so many people. So with that, when I did pass the application stage, I passed the first interview stage, but I failed the assessment center. And the second time, I think because I was already kind of thinking of leaving, maybe they didn't even consider me because at the time I was like, I think I'm gonna leave. But I was thinking of doing I'm not sure if you guys are aware, it depends if you're in law or not, but after your law degree you do the LPC 2, then it's just kind of a study of 1 year, unless you do it part-time, and then after that you can just work at the same time and get a training contract and qualify. So law degree, LPC, training contract, qualification, you're a solicitor. But now they're introducing the SQE1, SQE2, which has already been introduced. Well, if you do the LPC, you only have to do SQE2 with work experience. So you can be a paralegal, do the SQE2, which is exams, and then you qualify. So they're making things a bit easier for people to qualify. So I was thinking, should I just do the SQE2 and obviously pay for it? And then I'm already working as a paralegal, and I've got the 2 years experience, and I can become a solicitor instead of applying for training contracts. But I asked that law firm if they could allow me to just work a few less days, like maybe 4 instead of 5, and they said no. So I was like, okay, then I'm going. Like, you don't give me a training contract, no progression. Everyone is leaving. People who've been there long are leaving. And even after I left that firm, there's someone, my colleague, who was there for 3 more years, no training contract, and she loved that firm. She loved the people, but she had to leave. That's how bad it was. And I think throughout the whole application, only one person in the firm got the training contract. The rest were external people. So it's just so unfair, kind of. So I just had to leave because I was stuck there, and I didn't feel like I wasn't gonna go anywhere. But I think also what made me want to leave is when I asked for training for less days to pursue my career and become a lawyer, and they said no. So I was like, this is my clue to leave. So I started looking for other firms with progression. That was my main aim. Now it wasn't even much the location. I guess location, but progression was at the top, not even the salary. I think progression was on top of salary because I want to qualify, I want to become a solicitor. So I got 2 opportunities, actually, should we say. One was a proper training contract, which started straight away, and it was with the advice bureau. The second was a litigation assistant role, litigation executive assistant role, with the training contract after a certain amount of, months, should we say. So I applied for both of them. I got an interview with both of them, and it's weird because initially I wanted to go with one where the training contract straight away. But God had other plans, and I actually got the other role as a litigation executive assistant. So I was still happy. I was happy to leave because I just felt stuck in that firm that I was in at the time. So I was just like, I'm gonna leave. I gave my notice in and left. The notice was like 3 months, so I had to work there for another 3 months, and then I left and I started this new job in this new law firm. So this law firm is quite big, I'd say, in terms of there's a lot of people that work there, maybe like up to 500 or more. But there's only one office. It's quite a big office as well. But I think what's the best thing is the progression. And you're not just seen as a number, which is what I was seen as at the other firm that I left. You're really considered. If you put the work, they consider internal candidates only as well, must I say. So I was able to, I got the role as a litigation assistant, then became a litigation executive within like maybe 6 months. Then I became a trainee solicitor after a year. Is it after a year? Yeah, roughly, yeah. After a year, I became a trainee solicitor, gave me a training contract, and it's because I put the work in and they consider internal candidates only. The difference between this current role and how I got trained contract and what I was doing for is because I chose a firm that considered people number one, and it wasn't a straight training contract either. So I think sometimes it's okay to find a role like a litigation executive, because assistant, but make sure that then that company is a company that wants to progress people. You don't always have to just start as a trainee solicitor. You don't always have to get a training contract first. You can try to find firms where you can start a bit a bit lower than a trainee solicitor, but then that with progression, with the hard work, you can become a trainee solicitor. Because I think that was the key with me. I was applying for training contracts here and there, but why not apply for a different role where there's progression to become a trainee solicitor? So that's how I became a trainee solicitor. I put the work in, and I actually really love this department that I'm in. I love people. My team is probably the best team that I had in my whole career. I love the work. I've got my own cases, so I feel responsible, and I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm in charge of my own clients. I'm in charge of my own cases. And I just love the responsibility. I just love that I can just do something. Personally, I'm the one doing something for my clients. I'm the one that's helping these people. I'm the one responsible for helping those people and carrying out their cases and settling those cases for them, making sure that justice is served. And I never did that in my previous roles. So it's cheesy to say, but it is very fulfilling. And yeah, that's how I got trained. How long have I been a trainee for? 8 months? 8-9 months. I've been a trainee solicitor for 8-9 months. What I'll say is, sometimes, like, obviously I would never imagine that I would be here. I knew I would get a training contract one day. I just didn't know when anymore. And how. I was like, how would I get this training contract? It's so competitive. There's people who after uni, after 5 years, they're still looking for a training contract. I've got friends that went to uni with like 5 years ago, and they're still looking for a training contract. Sometimes I had one girl from uni asking me, how do you get a training contract? Like, what can I do? Like, things like that. So it's so competitive. It's so hard to get. But then once you get it, it's like, oh, finally. Like, it's like you can breathe until you then qualify. So yeah, that's how I got it. And it's weird to say that I'm a trainee solicitor now, and then I'll become an officially qualified lawyer. Like, I still don't feel like I am, but I am. And I'm responsible for things now. Yeah, so my advice would be just keep having faith, because I never said, oh, I'll never get a training contract, or I'll never become a solicitor. So I was like, I will. I just don't know how, but I will. And I kept believing, I kept having faith, I kept praying. And also just go out there. If you see that you're in a place where there's no progression, then what are you waiting for? Why are you still stuck there for years? Just look for other opportunities. It doesn't have to be a training contract straight away. Just find places where you can also progress, and find places where you're not considered just a number. I know some people who have gone to smaller firms, even if the pay wasn't great, they went to smaller firms, and from there they got a training contract. So that as well is also something to consider. My firm is not that small, but it's the fact that they consider people. They consider internal people. They look at the work that you do, and if you do the work, you will get that training contract. But you have to put the work in, I must say, so like that. And also there's a little application that you have to fill in as well, so that's also something to keep in mind. But just go where you're seeing, go where the progression is, if that's what you want. But also I know there's people who just want the big firms, the big training contract. That's what you want, and guess just keep applying and keep progressing your applications. But yeah, I think also one thing I did, I just kicked all the firms that had like verbal reasoning tests and all this thousands and thousands of stages. I mean, for this role that I have now, for this job, I did have to do like three stages and presentation, all that, to get my first role as a litigation executive. And also I must say, this law firm is slightly far from where I usually work, or where I would have imagined to work. It's like 2 hours by bus or there and there. But for me, the priority was the progression, and yeah, I just did it. And I know, I mean, sometimes there are like firms that say, like, I think something that I've heard, be like, oh yeah, just come in, start as an assistant litigation executive, and we'll give you the training contract. But then people, they don't end up receiving it. So it's a bit of a hit and miss. But just look at reviews, talk to people maybe who work there. I mean, I didn't talk to anybody who worked there, but I just had faith and just went for it, and now I got a training contract. But yeah, if you have any questions, I do have a day in the life of trainee solicitor video, but I do so much in a day that it was hard to fit in one day. But I may do more videos, and I also like the fact that I work from home as well, for part of the week, and in the office for the other part. So yeah, I'll say. But to be honest, if I got a training contract where I had to work in the office full time, I would have still gone for it, because my priority was progression. So I'll say, make sure you have your priorities straight, and go for firms and an environment where you're appreciated, where you're seen, and where there's progression. It doesn't have to be a training contract away. If you just start where you can and have faith to keep progressing. Okay. So yeah, that's my story. And if you have any questions, then please drop them down below. But failing that, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in my next video.